Hi, welcome back. I ran across a very interesting post on social media recently, and I would like to share that with you. So in the post, it says that whenever we have a goal to achieve, we tend to become too obsessed with the outcome that we ignore the process. Obviously, that's wrong, and in the post, it says that we shouldn't be that way. We should be more process-oriented. I know it sounds really cliche, and you probably have seen similar posts elsewhere on social media almost every day. I do consider that very useful piece of advice. And especially when it comes to English learning, I think that that should be the kind of approach we take. That is the kind of mindset that we should adopt. The process-oriented mindset. If you really think about it, in almost every other experience we have, especially when it comes to skill learning, it is the process that brings us the most benefits. It's the process during which we have the most growth, and also the process that makes the whole experience extraordinary. And the problem with focusing too much on the outcome is that we tend to resort to finding the shortcut, as I have mentioned in my previous video, or simply give up. Now, we don't want either of those things to happen, but if we become too short-sighted on trying to get to the destination, that we don't care about how we get there, or we're just trying to get there as soon as possible, like there's a competition, or that the faster we get there, the better we must be, we start to lose track of things. We start to get lost in the process. And to me, when that happens, maybe we should reevaluate if this is exactly the path that we want to be on, if reaching that goal is worth it at all. So when we apply that mindset to our English learning, instead of focusing on finding the perfect practice that's going to solve all our English-related problems, we should then try many different things. Now, I can't speak for everyone here, but I believe for most of the people who actually are able to speak English well through years of learning, they'll probably tell you that there isn't one single practice that got them there. I personally have experienced my growth from a combination of different things that I did. And honestly, I can't really tell you which one thing that I did really helped me the most, because I have tried many different things at different stages. And I would like to believe that all those things work together to help me to get to where I am today. And to recap what was discussed in my last video, stop trying to look for the one-stop shop to fix all your problems. You're not going to find one. Even if you think you are, you might be disappointed. Instead, I've also mentioned this so many times as well, you have all the answers in you, and you need to ask yourself all the questions that you may have that you're hoping somebody else is going to help you answer. Now, I'm not saying that watching videos about people talking about their own learning experience is not helpful. It sure will be, because you're going to gain some insights from other people's journeys, what they did that they thought was helpful and what didn't help them. So maybe that could give you some directions as to what are the things that you could try now, and what are the things that probably wouldn't work for you because your situation might be a bit similar to this other person's. But all I'm saying is there are all kinds of ways for you to improve your English. There's all kinds of paths that you can take to get to where you want to be. If for some reason one of them is inaccessible to you, try something else. You don't necessarily have to have the exact same resource as somebody else for you to be able to speak English just as well as they do. Again, we're talking about personal differences, your current language proficiency level, and so many other factors that may be in play in your situation. I'll give you an example. Since I talk so much about spoken English in my channel, so to improve your spoken English, there are so many different ways. And I've talked about many of them in some of my previous videos, so feel free to check them out. But basically, well, we're talking about your language input and language output to start with. So to work on both of those areas, there are many different practice that you can do. For instance, to increase your English input, you can start watching many different things. I suggested that maybe listening to an English audio might be helpful as you don't have that visual distraction. Or you can simply work on your pronunciation as well, as that is a very important part of your spoken English. Or some of you might want to work on your the pace of your speech. So I would suggest maybe imitating some of the native speakers that you enjoy listening to, trying to imitate where they pause, where they speed up, where they slow down, why they slow down, and things like that. Try to get a general idea of how the overall rhythm is like. And for those of you who want to work on your language output, there are also many different ways you can do it. You don't necessarily have to have a teacher to speak with. You could record yourself, talking to yourself. You can do like a audio journal as well. Instead of writing down how your day was, you can record yourself talking about your day. And it doesn't even have to be a day. It could be about any event that happened recently in your life or any person in your life. So basically anything you want to talk about. Or again, you could use some of the video or audio materials and try to paraphrase them or try to summarize them or even try to repeat after them if you do want to review some of the important or useful expressions you learn. All I'm saying is there isn't one superior kind of practice that you can do that's going to help you tackle all the obstacles you come across in your language learning. Instead, you should constantly assess and reassess yourself, looking back to see if you've made any progress at this point. For your spoken English, for example, I would recommend perhaps recording yourself as a way of self-evaluation. Try to record yourself talking about a topic that you've selected for yourself. If this is the first few times when you did it, start it with something simple. Start it with something that you're very comfortable talking about, gradually moving on to more difficult topics. Simply by recording yourself and listening back to it, you'll get a very good idea of how your pronunciation sounded like. What about your word choices? Were you able to express your ideas with very accurate word choices? What about your grammar? Did you make a lot of grammatical mistakes? Did you have a lot of pauses? What about the overall flow of speech? Is it very different from the way native speakers usually express themselves? You will be able to catch those little things and then realize maybe for the upcoming few weeks, your focus needs to be shifted. Maybe originally you were working on your pronunciation, but now at this point you feel like your pronunciation is no longer the biggest concern of yours. You might want to work on some other aspects. And that's what I meant by constantly assessing and reassessing yourself and your situation, because things will change. The learning process, again, is very dynamic. You have to evaluate your needs as you move on, because at different stages of your learning, you will require different kinds of practice to help you get closer and closer to your goal. And that seems to be the process a lot of us would skip. Again, we're always looking for that one practice that's going to help us solve all the problems we run across in our language learning. We're all secretly hoping that we can find this one method or one practice that we can keep doing over and over again, day after day, that we don't even have to think about it anymore. But we know that's not the case for learning. Another reason why we keep looking for the magic practice or resource tirelessly is that by doing that, we're making ourselves feel better about not actually putting in the work. If you really think about it, anything that you can get your hands on, maybe you are looking for a new English teacher, you're looking for some reference books that you can use, or you're looking for an online course that you can take to help you through the obstacle you're in right now. In any of those cases, you would be required to actually put in the work yourself. You have to get your hands dirty, like I said before. You are the only one who is going to do the work and make the changes. Nobody else or nothing else will help you do the work. Doesn't matter how good of a teacher you have, what kind of resource you have, or what kind of online courses you have. You have to be the one to watch them. You have to be the one to do the practice. You have to be the one, again, to evaluate and reevaluate your situation to figure out the best strategy for your learning at the moment. But a lot of us would rather spend days and hours looking for that perfect resource as opposed to actually investing the time in the practice itself. Now, you may ask, does that mean we have to work on our English forever? Does that mean we never get a break from it? No, of course you don't have to work on it forever. It depends on whether that's your priority at the moment or not. Maybe you have other obligations at that time of your life. That's fine. Go on working on those things. And you don't have to continue working on your English if you don't want to. But like anything else, we learn through trial and error. And our progress will become stagnant if we stop the practice. And to conclude my video today, as much as I understand that sometimes we do have time commitments or we do have a particular goal that we need to reach within a certain time frame, in most cases, once we decide to undertake this project of learning a new language, we should know that the best way to get the most out of the process is to put in consistent efforts and to recognize that you can't find the answers from anyone else but yourself.